we have heard that everybody is born an artist. And I thought about that and wondered, is that really true? I mean, can everybody be an artist? I think that we can be makers of beautiful things, and we probably all have creative urges and a need to be creative. And I think that for what has brought me to the place of making paintings, watercolor paintings in my case, has been the result of a lot of opportunity and motivation. The opportunity started when I was very small, and my dad taught color theory at a junior college, and he showed us pigments and how they differed, how they mixed, where they came from. He was always interested in the history of pigments. And we went to art museums and we looked at how artists used pigments. Dad was an interior designer, so he was really interested in how color combinations went together. And we would look at paintings and talk about the color combinations. We talked about how they were composed and why this particular drama was created by a composition in a painting. Matter of fact, going to museums is the way we have always celebrated the family coming together, and we still do. That's our special time, going to museums together. Our parents encouraged us to be creative. They always said, please don't buy me anything. I just want you to make me a card or make me something that you like to do. And so they really held to that. There wasn't any wavering, so we were always making things. And at Christmas time, we'd make 20 of something and give them all away. So in my many crafts, my many things I've made are included weaving, which was a really nice one. I even dyed my own wools. I knit. I have embroidered. I have done needlepoint. I've done photography many years. I've made clothing. I've worked on the interior in my house. It's just wherever I could, I used my creative skills, and that was always encouraged by my family. And then about 15 years ago, I was teaching third grade, and my school had enough money to hire an artist to come in and teach the kids. And she taught them watercolor. And the first lesson, which was about the color wheel and so on, I went off and corrected papers. But then the second lesson, she taught them to mix colors to make a brown to create a tree. And I just dropped the work at my desk and said, where's your paper? And drew myself a tree and started doing what the kids were doing. And I thought, oh, this is something I could do. I had never had confidence in being able to draw. In fact, I didn't have any art classes behind me, but I had gone to, my major in college had been art history. And through art history, which is the history of the world, through the art of the world, I'd seen a lot of art. And I kind of had a sense of what a lot of different people had done to express themselves. So also at that time, my father had finally taken up watercoloring. He retired really late from being an interior designer, and the family had always encouraged him to paint. And so I thought, I could probably do that. And I began to take classes, and I took a lot of different classes. I found that painting is not nearly as easy as many teachers say it is. In a watercolor class, they'll often say, all you have to do is zip, 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 and you have this beautiful painting. And I didn't have that experience at all. I just had a lot of messes. But when I sat down and very carefully worked out my subject, and if I love my subject, then I found that I could make a painting that was worth looking at. And so I've been working at that for about 15 years, and I've been very consistent with it. I find a lot of motivation to paint because it's something difficult to do, and I have some skill in it, and I can make some nice paintings, and it makes me feel like there's something I've accomplished in my life that is meaningful. And it's something I can share with my family and my friends, and that's very enjoyable. As I said, creativity was always held very high in my family. Some people say that they paint because they have to, or paint because they're passionate about painting. And neither of those statements would express what I feel. For me, it's more like wanting to solve a problem. I have a scene that I've taken a photograph of, or that I'm in front of, or that I've created from various sources. And I feel like that is just the most beautiful thing, and I really want to express that. Well, that does sound like passion, so maybe I have to admit to some passion in there. But what keeps me going is the problem solving and the learning of skills, the remembering that in this situation, if you do this with the paint, or allow that to show, or put one of these in there, that it will work. It's like writing, actually. There's a lot of different little parts to the skill of painting that you have to remember and put them all in there and not make a mess, and then it works. But as I say, you have to have this overall, this bigger picture of really what you want to accomplish. And what I want to accomplish is to make a painting that makes people feel peaceful. If there's beauty in lovely use of color, in gorgeous composition, for me, in nature. It's usually in nature, although I like doing people too. So the way I start is that I make a careful drawing, and I usually paint fairly large because it's, believe it or not, easier to paint larger because the little pieces are not so little. And then I figure out which parts I have to leave light, and I just wash in a little bit of the colors in, and then I start figuring out which areas are going to have the greatest amount of detail and which areas I'm going to be a little bit more impressionistic with. And taking the painting through its various stages to a finished painting can take a lot of self-reflection, a lot of observation. There's lots of stop places along the way. And thank goodness I have a mentor, because she helps me edit what I've done. She helps me see my stuck places. She helps me with teaching me the skills I need to know to get past them. I made this composition from a number of different photographs that I had taken. And I like this kind of curved V, and I love the light coming down through. I was careful to preserve the light places, and I was careful to create movement through the riffle in the water. Remember, this is a two-dimensional piece of paper, and I am doing my best to create 3 dimensions here and a sense of liveliness. Often I'll put in a bird or a child or something like that to create the life, but here It's the riffle in the water, the reflection of these trees down in the water. For me, a painting should bring me to a place of peace. I want the beauty of it to give me a respite from my busy life. I want it to help me exhale. Because when I look at a painting on a wall, that's just what I do. I find a resting. I feel a lowering of my heartbeat. And I think that's what beauty does for us. And that is my goal in painting. And I really appreciate your watching this and listening to me talk about my process. I'm just an ordinary person, but I have had opportunities and I do have motivation. And I think that's what's made the difference for me. Please come and visit my website and the shows that I have.